The first time Michael Carter saw the line of abandoned cars, he thought he was looking at a graveyard. 10 vehicles sat behind a massive industrial warehouse on the outskirts of Dallas, Texas. Their paint was faded. Their tires were flat. Rust crawled across metal like a disease. Broken windows reflected the gray afternoon sky. To everyone else, they looked worthless. But what happened next would shock an entire city. A billionaire woman threw those 10 broken cars away as if they were garbage. A struggling single father turned them into a fortune worth over $10 million. Before we begin, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and never giving up when life gets hard, please take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories. Michael Carter was 38 years old and exhausted. Every morning before sunrise, he woke up in a small rented house in Dallas with his 8-year-old daughter, Grace. Their home was clean but simple. The kitchen table had scratches from years of use. The refrigerator hummed loudly because it was nearly 20 years old. The bills stacked on the counter seemed to grow taller every week. 3 years earlier, Michael's wife, Hannah, had passed away after a sudden illness. The loss shattered him. Overnight, he became both father and mother to a little girl who missed her mom every day. He worked 2 jobs to survive. During the day, he repaired vehicles at a small neighborhood garage. At night, he delivered packages around the city. He slept 4 or 5 hours on good days. Even with all that work, money never seemed enough. There were nights when Michael skipped dinner so Grace could have a full meal. There were mornings when he sat alone in his truck wondering how much longer he could keep fighting. Still, he never complained. Every evening, he helped Grace with homework. Every weekend, he took her to the park. Every night before bed, he promised her that somehow things would get better. The problem was that he no longer believed those words himself. One rainy Tuesday afternoon, Michael received a call from an old friend named Jacob. Jacob worked as a maintenance supervisor for one of the largest luxury automotive companies in Texas. The company was owned by Victoria Reynolds, a billionaire entrepreneur famous for buying and restoring exotic vehicles. Victoria was known for her success, her private jets, and her collection of rare automobiles worth millions of dollars. She was also known for moving on quickly from anything she considered a failed investment. Jacob told Michael something unusual. A storage yard owned by Victoria's company was being cleared out. Several damaged vehicles were scheduled to be scrapped within days. Management had decided the cars weren't worth repairing. Michael wasn't particularly interested at first. Then Jacob sent him photos. The moment Michael looked at those pictures, something caught his attention. Most people saw junk. Michael saw potential. The cars weren't ordinary vehicles. Several were rare collector models. Others were older luxury cars with significant damage but valuable components. One vehicle, despite severe cosmetic issues, was a limited edition model that enthusiasts would pay enormous amounts to restore. The problem was obvious. Repairing them would cost a fortune. Michael barely had enough money to pay next month's rent. Yet he couldn't stop thinking about those cars. For days, the images stayed in his mind. Finally, he drove to the storage yard. Standing among the rusting vehicles, he felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Hope. Not certainty. Not confidence. Just a small spark of possibility. The yard manager laughed when Michael asked about the cars. Because the vehicles were scheduled for disposal, the company simply wanted them gone. The manager offered all 10 vehicles for an unbelievably low price. It was still more money than Michael had. That night, he sat at the kitchen table after Grace went to sleep. Rain tapped softly against the windows. He stared at his savings account balance. Everything he had. Every emergency dollar. Every bit of security. If this failed, he could lose nearly everything. But if he never took a chance, his life would never change. The next morning, Michael emptied his savings account. Friends thought he was crazy. Coworkers warned him he was making a mistake. Even he wasn't sure he was doing the right thing. But deep inside, something told him to try. The months that followed became the hardest period of his life. Every day after working at the garage, Michael drove to a rented warehouse. He spent evenings and weekends repairing the vehicles. His hands became covered in cuts. His clothes smelled constantly of oil and metal. Many nights he worked until 2 or 3 in the morning. Then he would drive home, sleep briefly, and start again. Grace often sat nearby doing homework while her father worked. She watched him struggle through setbacks that would have made most people quit. Some engines refused to start. Some replacement parts were impossible to find. Unexpected costs appeared almost weekly. At one point, Michael's bank account dropped below $50. He wondered if everyone had been right. Maybe he had made a terrible mistake. Maybe those cars really were worthless. Then something remarkable happened. A video appeared online. A local automotive blogger visited Michael's warehouse and filmed one of the restorations. The video showed the transformation of a neglected collector vehicle into a stunning masterpiece. Millions of people watched. The internet loved the story. A hard-working single father restoring abandoned luxury cars while raising his daughter alone captured hearts across the country. Suddenly, collectors started calling. Investors reached out. Automotive enthusiasts wanted updates. The first restored vehicle sold for more money than Michael had earned in an entire year. Then another sold. And another. Word spread quickly through the collector community. Michael wasn't just repairing cars. He was bringing forgotten treasures back to life. His reputation grew. Within 2 years, he transformed his tiny operation into a thriving restoration business. He hired mechanics. He leased larger facilities. He trained young workers who needed opportunities. Customers began shipping rare vehicles from across the United States. The same people who once doubted him now waited months for appointments. Revenue climbed into the millions. The company kept expanding. Then came the moment nobody expected. Including Victoria Reynolds. At a prestigious automotive auction in Scottsdale, Arizona, one of Michael's fully restored vehicles crossed the auction stage. Collectors from around the world competed for ownership. The bidding rose higher and higher. When the final hammer fell, the sale price shocked everyone in attendance. The single vehicle sold for nearly $2 million. News outlets covered the story nationwide. Reporters highlighted the incredible journey. A billionaire had discarded a collection of damaged cars. A struggling single father had seen value where others saw waste. Not long afterward, Victoria Reynolds requested a meeting. Michael agreed. The two sat across from each other in a modern glass office overlooking downtown Dallas. Victoria had built an empire by making difficult decisions. Yet even she admitted she never imagined those vehicles would become so valuable. For a moment, she studied the man whose determination had transformed discarded assets into a business worth over $10 million. What impressed her most wasn't the money. It was the vision. Thousands of people had walked past those cars. Only one person had seen what they could become. By then, Michael's company employed dozens of workers. Families depended on those jobs. Young mechanics gained skills and careers. Local businesses benefited from the economic growth. What started as 10 abandoned vehicles had become something much bigger. Years later, Michael often reflected on those difficult days. His company occupied multiple facilities. His financial struggles were gone. Grace, now a teenager, no longer worried about unpaid bills or overdue notices. But the greatest reward wasn't wealth. It was the lesson. The world often labels things as broken. People. Dreams. Opportunities. Businesses. Sometimes even our own lives. Many walk away when they see damage. Many give up when they see obstacles. Many assume something has no value because its potential isn't immediately obvious. Michael learned that true vision means looking beyond what something is and seeing what it could become. One evening, he and Grace stood inside the company's largest showroom. Restored vehicles gleamed beneath bright lights. Customers admired craftsmanship worth millions. Grace looked around and smiled. She remembered the tiny house. The late-night repairs. The uncertainty. The sacrifices. And she remembered her father's promise. Things would get better. Against all odds, they had. Before we finish this story, if it touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may be struggling through a difficult season right now. And here's a special request: comment below with the words "I still believe" if you believe that hard work, hope, and perseverance can change a person's life. Because sometimes a fortune isn't hidden inside a bank account. Sometimes it's hidden inside something everyone else has already given up on. 10 broken cars changed one father's life forever. Not because they were valuable, but because he was brave enough to see value when nobody else could. And that is a kind of wealth no amount of money can ever buy.